Hi friends, thank you for joining me today for yoga. I'm excited to be here and to have this class with you. Looks a little different than we had originally planned, but that's okay because we're flexible, right? Before we get started, I wanted to help you get set up. So grab a mat if you have one, grab a block if you have one. If not, a book will work. And then if you are pregnant or if you have knee issues, you may want just a simple folding chair for some of the postures. It can be good for downward dog, for instance, or to help you balance if you're struggling with that today. So take a minute, get yourself some water, get set up, and we'll get started. Take your block or your book, and let's meet in hero's pose. So ankles directly behind the knees, straight out behind us. Sitting on a block or on your heels if that works for you. And we're just going to take a minute to get centered and to hopefully relax, get rid of distractions, and just settle into this time together. Our verse for today is John 10:10. The thief only comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. Boy, does that verse have a different meaning for us in the midst of this coronavirus or what? I want to focus today on what is keeping us from having life to the full. Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it loneliness? Is it sadness over things that have been lost or missed? So just close your eyes down if you feel comfortable. If you don't, you can look at the mat or the floor right in front of you. And just settle in. Think about what is keeping you from having life to the full. What do you want to ask Jesus for today? Notice in your body, are there any sticky spots, uncomfortable places? For me, it's my hips. Too much sitting and my hips start getting really angry with me. So we're going to work some today on hips and shoulders and opening up those places where our body tends to hold tension. So with your eyes closed, let's begin to do a box breath. So if you picture a box, we're going to breathe into the count of 4, hold it to the count of 4, exhale to the count of 4, and hold it to the count of 4. And I just invite you today to make this a prayer as you do it. Maybe it's fear that you are dealing with in this time. So breathe in the love of God to the count of 4. Hold it to the count of 4. Exhale fear. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Bringing your hands to prayer position at your heart center and sealing that into your practice today. Bringing chin to chest, fluttering the eyes open, sweeping the arms wide and tall, reaching through the fingertips, reaching for the ceiling, rooting the hip bones down into your block or your heels, wherever you're at today. Shoulders away from the ears. Hands together, back through heart center, sweeping up again. Exhale, heart center. Arms out to a T. We're going to take a twist to the right. So bringing the right arm behind us, working towards keeping the hips in an even alignment towards the front of the mat. Back up to center. Out to a T. Exhale. And twist to the left. Left arm behind you, hands reaching in opposite directions. Just warming up the spine. Arms back up, reaching for the sky. Back to heart center. Let's bring our hands, the bony part of the elbow, into the palms. And lift the arms up over the head. Long side bodies. And actively holding onto the elbow while energetically pulling the elbows in opposite direction. So this should create space for your head between your biceps and broaden across the back of the body. And breathe. Jesus came that we might have life and have it to the full. Switch out the cross of the arms, opposite arm on top. And once again, energetically pulling the elbows in opposite direction away from the face. Descending the ribs towards the back body. And breathing. Releasing the arms, coming into a forward fold, walking the hands out in front, maybe tenting the fingers. Take a deep breath. Walking the hands over to the left. Opening up the right armpit towards the ceiling, anchoring the right sitting bone into the earth. Back through center, over to the right side. Anchoring the left sitting bone down to the earth, feeling a deep stretch in the left side body. Back to center. Walking the hands back up. And let's set our block off to the side and meet in tabletop position. So shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. We're going to begin by scooting the right toes on the earth, straight leg, right toes touching the earth. Pressing through the heel, just giving that knee a little bit of space after compression. Opposite leg, left leg out behind, toes touching the ground. Back to center. Right leg behind and lifted, pushing through the heel. Left arm reaching in front, hands and fingertips reaching in opposite direction. Belly to spine. Engaging the core. And breathing. Bending the right knee and reaching behind for the top of the foot. If this is in your practice, you can feel free to stay here in spinal balance. Or reach behind and grab the foot. Top of the head, reaching for the front of the mat. Long line of energy in the spine. Back to balance. Left arm back to the mat. And right leg straight out to the side and dropping at a 90-degree angle, pushing through the pinky edge side of the foot. We're gonna do some cat-cows here. So inhale, tailbone high, head high, belly drops, shoulders wrap around the spine. Exhale, rounding through the spine, tailbone tucked, chin tucked, each vertebrae reaching high. One movement to one breath. Inhale, at your own pace, exhale. And just know that any cue I give today is just a suggestion. Listen to your own body. If something doesn't feel right or is painful, just modify. Remembering that modify means change, not less than. Back and forth. Couple times. Come back to center, and let's pick up the left arm and reach it towards the right corner of the mat. Another deep left body side stretch here. And breathe. Releasing the left hand, walking it over to be parallel with the left leg. We're going to set up for side plank here. Rotating onto opening up the hips, lifting the right arm, lifting the right leg, pushing through the heel, reaching through the fingertips. And staying here, or once again, bending the leg, reaching for the top of the foot, and stretching through the front right hip flexor. As if the back of the head could touch the bottom of the foot. Stretching long, dropping the right leg, walking back to table, and bringing the right foot up between the hands for low lunge. So here we want the knee to be over the ankle, not jutting past it, just right on top of it. You might need to scoot your left knee back a little bit. Bending the left knee, stretching out the left quad, and releasing, coming into hamstring stretch. So letting the hips settle over the left foot. We'll just keep a little movement here to wake that up. So back and forth with your breath. What do you need from Jesus in this season to live life to the full? He's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. And the next time you find yourself back, let's angle the pinky toe towards the long edge of the mat. So rather than just turning the foot, think about rotating the whole leg from the hip crease to bring the pinky toe down. Good. Very good. And just hang out there for a minute. You'll notice a different sensation along the outer edge of the right hip. Back to center. Planting the hands on either side of the foot, bringing the right leg back to meet the left in plank. pushing through the heels, micro bend in the elbows, reaching through the crown of the head, zipping up the core, bending the knees, and from the hip creases, leaning the hips back, downward facing dog. First one of the day. Do what feels organic and natural. Maybe pedaling your feet out. Maybe swaying your hips side to side. And just arrive. Push the earth away with your hands. Bending the knees, lifting the hips, and then re-straightening the knees. And breathing. Coming into forward fold by walking the hands back to the feet. Slight bend in the knees. Shaking your head yes and no. Releasing any tension. Walking the hands back up to the front of the mat. Dropping the knees. Grabbing a quick drink if you need one. How we doing? Back to table, other side. Reaching left leg long, right arm straight ahead, heel and fingertips reaching in the opposite direction. Either stay here or bend the left leg, reach around and grab the inner side of the foot. Pushing top of the foot into the hand as you reach high. Re-extend, spinal balance, dropping the right hand, bringing the left foot out to the 90-degree angle, straight leg, modified gate pose. Pushing through the pinky edge of the foot. And let's do some cat-cows. So inhale, cow. Shoulder blades on the back body. Exhale, cat. One movement to one breath. Inhale. Exhale. Rounding through each vertebrae. This is a great stretch for the inner thigh, inner groins. Often if we're experiencing low back pain, doing this stretch will really help to relieve that. Inhale. Exhale. Couple more till you feel even. Back to neutral spine. Moving the left hand maybe under the face a little bit more. I should have done that on the first side. Reaching the right arm forward and stretching it towards the left front corner of the mat. This provides a deep stretch in the right side body. Planting the hands, lifting the leg, circling it around, and bringing the foot up between the hands for low lunge. Keeping knee over ankle. Maybe scooting the right leg back just a little bit to get a nice 90-degree angle here. Bending the right leg, grabbing for the top of the foot, or simply staying in low lunge. Whatever works for you and your body today. Each side is different. Dropping the back foot, hamstring stretch, settling back onto the right heel. One movement to one breath. Back and forth, waking up the hamstring. Couple more times. Next time you find yourself sitting back, let's again angle the pinky toe towards the long edge of the mat. So think about rotating the upper thigh to get the pinky toe to fall towards the edge of the mat. Good. Long spine. Opening up the outer hip. Back to low lunge, planting the hands, left foot back to meet the right plank. Bending the right knee, bringing it to the right elbow. Hold. Center, left elbow. And back. Bending the knees, lifting the hips high, downward facing dog. Letting go of anything that is hindering you. Rolling back to plank. Bending left knee to left elbow. Hold. Center. Right elbow. Back to plank. Downward facing dog. Good job. Bringing knees to the outer edge of the mat, big toes to touch. Settling the hips on the heels, reaching the arms forward. Child's pose. If you're pregnant or have knee issues, you can always do puppy dog pose. Just keep your hips over your knees and reach long from there. And just take a few breaths. What do you need from Jesus today? Are you lonely and need a friend that sticks closer than a brother? Are you anxious and need his peace? You need him to cover you with his wings? Are you fearful and need a reminder of his never-ending love? Couple more breaths in child's pose. If your forehead reaches the mat, maybe rocking your head back and forth on your forehead. And when you're ready, let's meet in downward facing dog, tucking the toes, lifting the hips. Slight bend in the knees, hips high. Three-legged dog, right leg to the sky. Bending the knee, opening the hip. And either staying here or maybe choosing to draw circles. Refocusing on placing pressure into the left hand, evening out the shoulders as you twist through the upper body. Good. Back to three-legged dog. Bending the knee, pulling it through, planting the foot between the hands. And standing hamstring stretch. So rocking back and forth, just like we did in a low lunge. When you feel even, coming forward, walking the hands up to the upper thigh, slight bend in the back knee to level out the pelvis, and high lunge. Nice. So you're on the ball of your back foot. You're inviting your ribs, the space between your belly button and your ribs, to become shorter, all while reaching your hands to the sky. Let's cross the arms, left arm on top, framing the face. Energetically pulling the elbows apart. And maybe leaning to the right if there's a little more space there. Scissoring the legs together. Opening the left armpit. Back to center. Arms extended. Very good. Dropping the hands to the mat. High lunge. We're going to rotate the back foot down so that the lower half of our body is in a warrior two position. So reaching through the pinky edge of the back foot, committing to a 90-degree angle in the front leg, and then downward facing arms, downward dog. So warrior two, lower body, downward dog, upper body. And reaching. This is a nice deep stretch in the outer right hip, the inner right thigh. Very good. Bringing the arms back to the mat, pivoting the right foot back up, heel toeing the right foot over to the edge, and coming down to lizard. So you can come down to a couple blocks if you have them. You can keep your back leg raised, or maybe lowered and untucking the toes. Whatever's in your practice today. And breathe. What does Jesus have for you? He is the lover of our soul and the lifter of our head. The word tells us he doesn't withhold any good thing from us. Breathe that in. If you came down to your elbows, coming back up to your palms, scooting the blocks off to the side, let's bend the back knee, And if possible, grab for the foot, keeping the foot flexed. Feeling that deep stretch on the left hip flexor here. Good, release, tucking the toes, planting the hands, bringing the right leg back to meet the left in plank, and hold. Energetically moving the hands away from each other as if you could rip the mat apart. And moving palms of hands to feet, shortening the distance on your belly to engage it. Nice, bending the knees, raising the hips, downward facing dog. And breathe. Left leg to the sky. Opening the left hip, bending the knee. Pressing into the right palm to square the shoulders. And staying here, or maybe doing some circles. Nice. Re-extending the leg, leveling the hips, pulling the leg through between the hands, high lunge. Hamstring stretch, leaning back, lengthening the spine, and rocking back and forth with the breath. Good. And when you feel even, let's come forward, walking the hands up to the thigh, bending the lat back knee, leveling out the hips, reaching the arms towards the sky. And pause. Crossing the arms overhead, right arm on top. Palms into the bony part of the elbow. Shoulders on the back body, leaning to the left. Nice. Back up to center, arms extended, dropping the hands to frame the front foot, bringing the left leg back to meet the right, bringing the knees to the outer edge of the mat, untucking the toes, and coming into child's pose. Make your way from child's pose back into downward facing dog. Left leg high, pull it through, high lunge. And we're gonna pivot the back foot and come again into warrior two legs and downward facing dog arms. So I'm pressing through the knife edge, pinky edge of my back foot, keeping the front leg at a 90-degree angle and reaching the arms long. Long spine. Again, this is a deep stretch in the left outer hip, right inner groin. Settling in and breathing. Walking the hands back to the inside of the left foot, popping up the back heel, heel toeing the left leg over to the edge of the mat, staying up on your palms, or maybe getting a block or a book and coming down to your elbows. Whatever's good for you today. Keeping the back leg strong and extended, or dropping the knee, untucking the toes, reaching through the crown of the head. What does God have for you? Fullness in your life today. When you feel like you're about even, coming up to your palms, maybe moving your blocks or your books aside, planting the hands, tucking the back toes, lifting the back leg, and reaching the left foot to meet the right in plank. Bending the knees, lifting the hip creases, downward facing dog. So with many, many, many steps, walking the feet up to meet the hands. Forward fold. Good. Shaking the head, no. Releasing that which does not serve you today. Placing hands on shins, pushing hands into shins, shins into hands, flat back, halfway lift. Reaching through the crown of the head and through the tailbone. Refold. Heel toeing the feet to the outer edge of the mat, angling the feet out slightly. And we're going to come into squat. So lowering the hips down, placing the elbows inside of the knees, pressing knees into elbows, elbows into knees, equal and opposite force. Maybe rocking side to side. If this is too hard on your knees, you can certainly use a block to make this a little bit more accessible. Whoops, except maybe not quite like that, but you get the idea. Or just stay high and allow the pelvis to descend and open. Planting the right hand in front of the right leg, sweeping the left arm high. Good. Back to center. Other side, planting the left hand, sweeping the right arm high. Good, back to center. Palms down, hips high. Shimmy the feet back together, hip distance apart. Forward fold. Planting hands into shins, shins into hands, halfway lift. Forward fold, bending the knees. Hands to heart center. Shoulders on the back body, engaging the glutes all the way up to mountain. Extended arms, reaching for the sky. Shoulders descending away from the ears. Palms to touch, steeple grip, or Charlie's Angel, however you want to look at it. And a long line of energy from the top of the fingertips to the heels. Leaning over to the right. Back to center. Leaning to the left. Back to center. Hands to prayer position. And let's get set up for tree, our balance posture of the day. If you need a chair, you can grab that, whatever you need. So let's plant through the left foot, firm foundation, spreading the toes wide, and lifting. Actually, set your right leg out to the side here. And just like we did earlier, let's rotate from the hip to bring the pinky towards the edge of the mat. And keeping that action, bringing the foot up to the inner thigh. So we're rotating from the hip joint, not from the knee or the ankle. If this isn't accessible, tree is perfectly good like this. On the calf or on the inner thigh, just not on the knee joint. Don't push on the knee joint. So let's push foot into thigh and thigh into foot. Standing tall, rooted and grounded in God's love. Shoulders on the back body. Smile on your face. Core engaged. And stay here, or maybe grow your branches. Maybe wave in the wind. Or the ocean. And wobble. And wiggle. That's how you know all of those micro muscles are actively working to keep you stable. Let's slide the ankle over the knee, keeping the hip rotated, and sit back into chair. Right foot flexed. Look down, make sure you can see your left toes. If not, sit your hips back farther. Heart higher than the waist. Very good. And hold. Breathe in God's love. Breathe out fear and anxiety. Letting it go. Back up to center, releasing the right foot, shaking that off. And let's come to the other side. So planting the right foot, spreading the toes. I'm going to set the left foot out and angle from the hip to get the pinky closer to the floor. Keeping that action in the upper hip, bringing the foot up, maybe to the ankle or the calf. But again, just not right on the knee joint. Standing tall, letting the wobble happen. Falling in, coming back at it. Very good. Staying here, maybe extending your branches. Belly to spine. And breathe. Beautiful trees. Hands back to heart center. Sliding the ankle over the knee. Sitting back into figure 4 chair. Head tall. Standing back up and release. Shake it off. Let's make our way down to a seated position. And we're going to come onto our back. So extend your arms, tuck your tailbone, and roll one vertebrae at a time. As fast or as slow as you like. Reaching the arms up overhead, toes and fingers stretching as far apart as you can. Arms sweeping out to the side and to the side body like a snow angel. Bending the knees. Setting up for bridge here, so you want your heels to be to reach your heels with your fingertips. And hips high, pushing through the feet. Release, right leg to the sky. We're going to do supine figure 4. So bringing the right ankle to the left knee. Giving a little tension with the right hand to the quad, pushing the leg away from you. And either staying here or reaching through to the left leg. If you've reached through and brought your left leg high, think about your tailbone descending into the mat and your shoulders melting into the mat. So rather than being here, you want to let your spine be long and flat on the earth. Stay here or maybe rock back and forth. Now we're going to slide the right leg over the left and reach for the ankles. So feet are as far apart as you can get them. Knees are crossed. Stretching the glutes. Asking the tailbone to melt towards the earth. Good. Feet to the sky, legs up the wall. Other side, dropping the left leg onto the right knee, planting the right foot, pushing into the left thigh. Little tension there. Keeping the left foot flexed. And staying here or reaching through, grabbing for the right leg. Melting the tailbone. Letting the shoulders fall towards the mat. Maybe rocking side to side. Crossing the legs, bringing the left leg over the right, bending at the knees, reaching for opposite ankles, flexing the feet. Asking the left hip to come in line with the right instead of hiking up towards the face. Good. And breathe. Legs up to the sky. Happy baby, reaching for the edge, the pinky edge of the foot. Bringing the knees towards the armpits. Pushing hands into feet and feet into hands. Making this an active stretch. Maybe bending one leg, straightening another. Whatever feels good, whatever you feel like you need for these last couple of postures. And release, legs up to the sky, planting the feet on the ceiling, spreading the toes. And slowly letting the legs fall towards the floor. When you get there, let's do one more full body stretch. So arms overhead, toes and fingers reaching in opposite directions. Sweeping your arms out to the side like a snow angel. Palms facing up is a sign of receiving what God has for you today. Receiving this good work that you've done. Letting the feet fall out to the side. If this is hard on your low back, you can plant your feet on the mat. On the outer edges, let your knees fall towards each other. And this gives the low back a little bit of a break if that's too much. I invite you to close down the eyes. Begin to come back to the body, rotating the ankles and the wrists. Rolling over onto the right side, using your bicep as a pillow. And with your eyes still closed, planting your hand, coming on up to a seated position. Bringing hands to heart center. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing self-care, for allowing this time on your sacred mat, your sacred space, for God to speak to you. And I just want to pray a blessing over you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Thank you. Have a great day. Many blessings.